Yeah, bro, and I noticed it early. Like all of these movies that Hollywood is pumping out that are supposed to be romance or rom-coms, they're really just cheating. And if you look at it through the lens of the guy that's just getting completely dogged out, it's a drama movie. And at the very least, especially when they're married, it's a horror movie. Like these movies are horrible.
That Hollywood wants me to cheat on my future husband.
Definitely.
And I'm not being dramatic. Because according to nearly every romance movie ever, if my toxic ex-boyfriend shows up in the rain looking mildly regretful, apparently I'm supposed to throw my entire life away and run into his arms. And I grew up thinking that was peak romance, okay? 16-year-old me watched those scenes and thought, yes, that is what true love looks like.
Yeah, bro, and it starts early. Like I remember being all the way back in middle school, bro, and Twilight came out when I was in about 6th grade, and everybody was talking about it, and I didn't understand why so many women liked a movie that was supposed to be about vampires and werewolves. And then as a couple of them came out, it became more of an action movie. And what young guy doesn't like movies about werewolves and vampires, right? Like that's like one of the oldest like fantasy rivalries, you know, in the game. So I went to go see one of these movies. I forgot which one it was. And I realized why they liked it. It's because there's this essentially a mid woman that has a vampire and a werewolf fighting over her as if they ain't got nothing better else to do. And I'm like, there's nothing romantic about this movie. She's just complicating a love triangle because she can't pick out of the two guys. So yeah, Hollywood starts you young with the propaganda, man.
Messy, desperate, and completely willing to destroy anyone who gets in the way. If someone leaves their fiance at the altar just because their real love walked back into town, that is not betrayal, that is epic. And I didn't even clock how insane that is until I watched the new Wuthering Heights movie. As someone who had never read the book, I went into the film completely blind. All I knew is that it was supposed to be one of the greatest love stories of all time because that's how it was marketed. And about halfway through watching, I was sitting there thinking, wait, am I supposed to find this romantic? Because here's what's actually happening. Catherine grows up alongside a boy named Heathcliff, and their connection is so intense to the point of being slightly unhinged. Every time they look at each other, you genuinely can't tell if they're about to kiss or start fighting. But then despite this connection, Kathy marries a man named Edgar. He's rich, he's kind, he's patient, he gives her everything she wants and more.
And the best part about these movies is how they slowly try to demonize the regular guy just to make it justified that the woman is cheating. And sometimes they'll demonize him in a way, but the issue is this. Even if you're with a guy that is a bad guy and you're married to that guy or you're engaged to that guy, it still doesn't really justify the cheating at the end of the day. So they go out of their way to really try to demonize a regular guy, and sometimes they don't even demonize him. They just show him as a normal regular guy with a stable relationship. And I just think it's funny how you see the progress of them trying to make a regular guy who's just trying to provide for his family out to be the bad guy because he might be a little bit boring, I guess, or consistent. That's what I would call it. They frame stability and peace as boring, but if you're in a healthy relationship, that's really what it should be.
The whole package. Compare that to Heathcliff, who is mean, dramatic, and incredibly immature. So at this point of the movie, I'm Team Edgar. It is literally a no-brainer. Let the girl have a happy, stable life. But then all of a sudden, Heathcliff shows up again and spoils all the fun. He's somehow even more unpleasant than he was before, and Kathy immediately falls for his toxic behavior. She likes him so much that she cheats on Edgar with Heathcliff in his own home multiple times.
Crazy.
And imagine my shock when I realized that it's their relationship we're supposed to be rooting for. The movie frames their reconnection like it's the universe finally correcting itself. Edgar's feelings? Irrelevant. We're not supposed to care. After the movie was over, I genuinely felt like my frontal lobe had fully developed. Because now all I could think about was how almost every single iconic love story involves some type of cheating. And that's not an exaggeration. The Notebook, cheating. The Office, cheating. Titanic, cheating. Cheating, 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 cheating. So
bro, yes, bro. It went all the way back to the B movie. That's exactly what I'm saying. The propaganda starts early. In the B movie, you have like, she's dating like this guy, right? And this guy is a normal guy, and he sees a bee in the apartment, and he tries to kill a bee, which is a reasonable crash out. And then she like pushes the guy out, and the guy's like, all this emotional roller coaster, this love triangle, no more yogurt nights. I can't do this anymore. And then she essentially tells the guy to leave, and she breaks up with the guy to continue a relationship with a literal bee. Like, that's how early the cheating propaganda starts with kids. And then the guy who she breaks up with comes back into the apartment and he's like, I like artificial sweeteners anyway. I know it has an aftertaste, but I like it. I'm like, yeah, because fuck that bee. Bro had a reasonable crash out. It was basically like Twilight, but with a bee.
Hey, I want to do something very simple and very petty. I want to expose the classic ways that movies romanticize cheating. The tropes, the tricks, the framing, and why it's getting worse.
Okay.
Because it is getting so much worse.
Yeah.
So buckle up, because at the end of this video, we will finally get the answer of why Hollywood is so obsessed with cheating. One of the main things that annoy me is how these movies treat cheating as this super common thing, because the only thing I've ever cheated on is a workout plan. I'll wake up thinking, okay, today is the day, and then 2 seconds later I'm like, maybe tomorrow is better, and then tomorrow becomes next week, and then suddenly it's March. And it was only recently that I realized the reason why I kept pushing off exercising wasn't because I didn't want to get fit, it's because I was doing it alone. That's why I started using Trainwell.
Okay.
What I love about Trainwell is that it's not just one of those
sponsor.
fitness apps where you're dumped on a random plan and left to fend for
S-tier
yourself.
transition. We gotta let the ad play. It's a respect thing.
With an actual real human trainer who adapts to things as you go. I'm paired with Jill, and she has me doing things I would absolutely never do if I was by myself. The first time she set up running as one of my workouts, I genuinely stared at my phone like, be serious, I cannot run to save my life. But she made sure it suited my fitness level, broke it down into manageable chunks, and boom, not only did I finish it, but I actually enjoyed it. And then later, Jill checked in to ask how it felt and then used that feedback to shape the next one. I'd stopped treating the new year like a dramatic resolution and started seeing it as a reset. From now on, I'm not doom scrolling on YouTube trying to find a workout just for it to be way too advanced. I just open the app and follow what Jill sets for me. There was even a week where filming completely threw off my routines and I missed a couple of workouts. But instead of feeling guilty or behind,
just
Jill
get back on the horse.
Simply adjusted my plan.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
No drama. If something didn't work, we changed it.
Just get back
I've
on the
been
horse.
way more consistent this time, mainly because I no longer spend 20 minutes negotiating with myself before every workout. There's no more, okay, but what if we skip today and start tomorrow? No, I just open the app and I do it. And it actually feels sustainable this time, not just another January phase that would eventually fizzle out. The way it works is so simple. Trainwell pairs you with a trainer based on your needs. You have an onboarding call to talk through your goals and lifestyle, and then they build a personalized plan around you. Take the quiz at go.trainwell.net/MarinaMcBain to get matched with your personal trainer and start 14 days free.
We back, boys. Lock in. We gotta lock in on this.
The first trope I wanted to talk about is something I'm calling destiny cheating. Destiny cheating is when the cheating gets framed as basically inevitable, like these two people were always going to end up with each other, and whoever got in the way of that was never a part of the plan. The most classic example of this is The Notebook. I know, everyone loves this movie. Ryan Gosling in golden hour lighting, building her dream house entirely out of love. It's a lot, and I fell for it too. But I need you to actually sit with what happens in this movie, because I feel like so many of us have been blinded by the love that we missed how genuinely unhinged it is.
Was it
love?
Our
story starts with Noah meeting Allie for the first time at a fair. Well, meets is a generous term. He basically notices her in this huge crowd and immediately decides that she's the love of his life. Which, a bit extreme, but whatever. Unfortunately for Noah, she's there with another guy. Now, most normal people would immediately clock that and take it as a sign to just move on. But Noah is operating under a different philosophy, something along the lines of, just because there's a goalkeeper doesn't mean I can't score. He asks her to dance. She says no.
The people who obsess over these types of movies are the same types of people that would give their friends advice like, don't let your boyfriend stop you from meeting your husband.
Asks her again. She says no, and again, and again, and again, and again. But instead of giving up, he watches her get on the Ferris wheel with her date, decides to climb and dangle on the outside of it, yelling that he will let go if she doesn't agree to go out with him. And
that doesn't seem consensual. The funniest thing about these types of movies is the things that the guys do to obsess over the women or to show their obsession with the woman is actually something that women wouldn't like, or is damn near what women would call sexual harassment if they didn't make the main character an attractive guy. And that's why every time they have to make it like a mid woman and an attractive guy, because then it sets the precedent that nothing that this guy does is actually going to be seen as weird or creepy or sexual harassment just because he's an attractive guy. If women didn't find the dude in The Notebook attractive, it would be like a horror/thriller movie.
Movie plays this off as if it's the most romantic moment of the century. I'm sorry, but if a man scaled a Ferris wheel because I rejected him, I wouldn't be thinking, oh wow, this is fate. I'd be thinking, where are the police?
And can we just
acknowledge that this only works because he's Ryan Gosling? If this was literally any other man, it wouldn't be a romance movie, movie, it would be a crime documentary. Yeah. Thankfully, Noah isn't a complete psychopath, and they go on to have a really cute summer romance together, filled with boat rides, kisses in the rain, and doing the deed in a haunted house. Yeah. How romantic. However, their love would soon be torn apart after Ali's wealthy parents didn't approve of her dating someone from a lower class.
And that's always baked into the cake, too. I notice, especially when it comes to movies that have to do with kids, there's always this theme of rebelling against your parents and doing the exact opposite of what they tell you you should do. And then somehow by the end of the movie, you make it all work out and your parents have to accept you for what you are. They always paint the rebels, especially when the rebels are kids, to be like the heroes in the movie. It's like, yeah, your dad raised you for 18 years and made sacrifices so that you can have a decent life. And when he tells you that this guy is probably a red flag, you should just follow your heart.
They have a big fight, Noah drives off, and they don't speak to each other for 7 years. 7 years! In that time, Ali moves on, falls in love with a man named Lon, and they end up getting engaged. What's interesting is that most movies would frame Lon as this nasty partner so that we wouldn't feel as bad for him when he eventually gets betrayed. But The Notebook doesn't do that. Lon is kind, patient, emotionally mature, and you can genuinely tell that he loves her.
And the dude's objectively a decent looking guy. Like, I'm not trying to full glaze go both hands on it, but the dude isn't a bad looking guy.
The only flaw is that he's not Noah. That is it. Her relationship with Noah, on the other hand, was immature and chaotic. They were constantly fighting, hating each other one day and then making out the next, a pure emotional whiplash. The movie looks at these two options, the stable, adult-loving relationship versus the absolute roller coaster, and goes, yeah, the chaotic one is the true love. Which is quite a problematic message when you think about it. Anyway, then one day, right before their wedding, Ali sees a photo of Noah in the newspaper, standing in front of the house they used to talk about as teenagers. She then immediately decides that she needs to go and check on him, just to see if he's okay. She tells Lon that she's gonna take a little trip back to her hometown, but doesn't tell him why or where exactly she's going, and Lon, being the good man he is, just completely trusts her. Poor, clueless Lon. She shows up at Noah's house, gets welcomed.
Lon sound blue pill. Lon been taking too much of that blue pill.
With open arms, and they spend the week together. And by together, I mean together, while she's engaged days before her wedding.
Crazy.
And from this cheating, she then comes to the realization that Noah is the man she wants to marry and not Lon. Really? It had to take you sleeping with him to realize that? Thankfully, this movie does do something right, and it makes her go back to Lon and tell him the complete truth. Which, in a normal world, this would be where everything implodes. Because any normal person would go absolutely ballistic if they found out that their fiance just spent the week before their wedding sleeping with their ex.
Yeah.
So sitting there, you're bracing for Lon's anger, but it never comes.
I understand.
Instead, we get this.
It's normal not to forget your first.
I knew it.
I love you,
I
Ali.
understand. I love you still.
My fiance that she should be with me.
Oh.
I'm sorry, what? This man just learned that her little trip down memory lane came with a bed and breakfast at her ex's house, and his response is basically just, I want you to be happy. Like, what? He reacts like he's losing a parking space, not a wife. And
bro, I would be so by the way, if any man ever reacted that way, he never loved the woman in the first place. That's just not how a man who loves and has invested in a woman would react if he found out that news. But either way, too, like, if I was the dad of her, like, in this movie, I don't know if she has a dad, but if I was her dad, I would be so disappointed in my daughter if she did something like this. But, you know, like, in Hollywood, the approval of a father never matters. Like, all the fathers are stupid anyway, right?
That is just so convenient for this movie, and actually the main point of this video. Because if he was furious, we'd be forced to sit with the fact that she cheated. We'd have to see the damage it caused. But since he's gentle and kind instead, the betrayal gets reframed as bravery. She's not leaving a man she hurt, she's choosing her soulmate. The film basically pats you on the head and says, relax, it's fine. Now look at Ryan Gosling in the rain. Now I know what some of you super fans are probably thinking. What about the letters? Basically, if you haven't seen the movie, Noah wrote to Ali every single day for a whole year, but she didn't respond, so he gave up thinking that she moved on. In reality, her mum hid the letters from her because she didn't want them to be together. And yes, that is genuinely sad, and yes, I do think it matters to the story. But she finds out about these letters after she sleeps with him. The letters aren't even the reason she cheats. They're just the thing the film hands you afterwards so that you feel better about what happened. I just think the wildest part of this movie is that no one ever treats what Ali did like it's bad. There is one time where her mum attempts to call out her behavior, but it gets immediately flipped around.
You came down here. You knew what you were doing. You knew this would happen.
Oh, so now I'm a tramp.
Yeah. Yeah, by definition. Like, and this is the thing. We just can't call people whores anymore. But that's a big issue because when you have a woman that's engaged to a man who put an investment into her and wants to make her his wife, and then she goes and cheats for a week with no regret with her ex-boyfriend, if there's any time you should be using the word whore or tramp, it's in that context, right? It's supposed to sting because what you did was egregious.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, because apparently someone pointing out the harsh truth is worse than sleeping with your ex whilst you're engaged.
Right.
The audacity is genuinely impressive. I almost respect it. So that is destiny cheating. It hands you a justification, the letters, the history, the first love, and it uses it to make the cheating feel not just acceptable, but inevitable. Like the universe demanded it. And once you notice it, you see it in absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's because it's social programming and it's all over the place. It isn't just in movies, it's in the music. It's on social media everywhere. The justification for cheating and women destroying their families is all over the place. And usually the justification is only if this makes you happy. That's usually the justification. It's if this makes you happy, you should be able to cheat on your husband and destroy your family, and you're justified. I mean, knowing what we know about Hollywood at this point, can we really expect them to ever put out just a basic romance movie like a guy and a girl meet each other, they go through trials and tribulations, but their love is so strong they decide to work everything out in the long run? It's the same way with music too. Like, all of the music just says if your boyfriend or if the guy you're with makes you unhappy to any degree, then you should be able to leave him and go find another guy at the club the same night. That's like all of the songs now. And don't even get me started on the sex scenes, bro. Like, there are just so many sex scenes that are just not necessary in these movies. Like, if you got them kissing and then the screen went faded black and then they woke up in the morning, we would get the point. But when I'm sitting there with my mother-in-law trying to watch movies because she's a movie buff and we have to sit through a 30-minute porno, essentially, it gets a little bit awkward. And it's the same way with the music, too. All of the music, all of the love songs and music and R&B, it's all about sex. Like, it's not about the actual love anymore. It's all about how this person makes you feel sexual. Like, go back and listen to Never Too Much by Marvin Gaye or Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Lauryn Hill, which I know is a cover, but she completely destroyed it. Go listen to I Want to Thank You by Alicia Myers. Those are songs that are actually about love and not just about sex. And I Want to Thank You, she says, I want to thank you, Heavenly Father, for shining your light on me. You sent me someone who really loves me and not just my body. He makes me happy, so very happy. He loves me. I don't know how to be. It's been a long time since I had someone who loves me. I owe my thanks to thee. That song is literally about a woman who finds a good man who actually loves her for her, and she thanks God for blessing her with a good man. You'll just never hear any songs like that anymore. Let's just be honest. It's just all rampant with like lust and cheating. It's crazy.
Not all cheating in romance movies looks dramatic. Sometimes it's just a little emotional shift. Because there is a sneakier version of this trope. Emotional cheating. To fully explain this one, we're going to talk about one of the most popular sitcom shows of all time, The Office. More specifically, we're going to look at Jim and Pam's relationship, which a lot of people consider to be built on cheating. This again is going to be very controversial because everyone loves Jim and Pam.
Right.
I love Jim and Pam. If you were to ask me a year ago if I thought their relationship was morally wrong, I would have said hell no. But after rewatching the show this year, my opinion has completely changed.
By the way, this woman is based for calling this out and having like the self-awareness to understand that she's being psyopted by Hollywood to think that cheating is romantic.
What happens in that show is absolutely unhinged, but it just goes to show how TV shows can reframe anything and make us root for it. Season 1 of The Office is only 6 episodes long. 6! And in that time, the show somehow gets you fully invested in a relationship where one person is engaged to someone else. In the literal pilot, Jim tells us that he has feelings for Pam. He's always hanging around her desk, he's always trying to make her laugh, just super flirty vibes. And for the most part, this is all done in a way that could be passed off as, oh, they're just good friends.
Yep.
But then you have the lingering looks.
That's how it always starts. They're always just good friends. But when you're at work and you're spending more time with this person than you are even the person that you're with or married to, it's really easy to go from just friends to doing other stuff or, you know, taking it somewhere where it shouldn't go.
Grabbing hands, the play fighting. And it's not just Jim. Pam clearly plays into this dynamic as well. There's even a moment where Jim briefly starts dating someone else and Pam gets weirdly distant and jealous, which is not the reaction of someone who you see as just a friend. Quick background information, Pam's fiance Roy actually works in the same office building, just in the downstairs warehouse. And look, I know this is gonna be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but Roy is not a villain. He's not abusive, he's not cruel, he's just a really bad boyfriend.
Is he?
Man, I would be all over that if I wasn't dating Pam.
We're not dating, we're engaged.
Yeah. No, that's crazy, bro. That's a crazy thing to say.
I never used to tell Pam how nice she looked, except if she asked. And once at our senior prom.
The show frames him this way on purpose, keeping him flawed enough so that we can convince ourselves that Pam deserves better.
Yeah, but again, the flaws don't ever justify the cheating. The cheating was a decision that you made. I know that Hollywood makes it seem like flaws justify cheating, but nah, it doesn't.
Is he the perfect boyfriend? No. But does he deserve what's coming to him? Absolutely not. Season 2 is where things get really crazy. It opens with the Dundies, which is the office's annual award show held at Chili's. They're all drinking, the vibe is awkward, and it looks like everyone's just having a very miserable night. Especially Pam, who gets into a fight with Roy, who then storms off and leaves. So to deal with this, she starts drinking more and more and more and more. Can you tell where this is going? In her drunken state, she kisses Jim on the lips, which is crazy. I completely forgot that this even happened. The show immediately brushes it under the rug. As the show goes on, the two of them get closer and closer, which leads them to cross a few awkward boundaries that I will never get out of my brain.
Down. Oh my god, hey, put me down.
Crazy.
Hey.
I actually can't.
If another man ever has your girlfriend in the air, she not your girlfriend, brother. She y'all girlfriend. I'm sorry.
Scene, it gives me so much secondhand embarrassment. Anyway, we eventually get to the moment the whole show has been building up to, the season 2 finale. Basically, Jim pulls Pam aside and tells her he's in love with her. Not I have feelings for you, not I think we should talk. No, he tells her he loves her. Pam immediately looks like a deer in headlights, unable to process what she's just heard, but she tells him that she values their friendship more than anything in the world and immediately shuts it down. So as you can see, this was dealt with in a really mature way with absolutely no cheating. Oh wait, no, they kissed right after. And look, I'm not gonna act like this isn't one of the most romantic moments in television history because it absolutely is.
Is it romantic though then? Like, is it romantic then?
We had 2 seasons of slow burn build-up leading up to this moment. The show made us want it so badly. But when you actually stop and think about how this is an engaged woman weeks before her wedding, it doesn't seem so romantic.
Right.
Season 3 is where the show seems like it actually might confront what happened. Pam calls off her wedding with Roy but still stays with him. Jim transfers to another branch and starts dating a new character called Karen. It's very obvious that they still miss each other and want to be together, but they can't face what happened between them. So the only real consequence they face is distance from each other, and the show frames that distance as sad rather than deserved. We never actually stop and think about why they're in that situation in the first place. But things get even more complicated when Jim's new branch shuts down, sending him and his new girlfriend Karen back to Scranton. Almost immediately, Karen starts getting the Roy edit.
It's always some love triangle action. People just love the chaos. They frame chaos as passion. That's what they do. That's how they weaponize chaos. They frame it as passion, and then they frame peace and stability as boring.
What I mean by that is that the show starts to make her look like a problem. Not too much, but just enough. She's a little insecure, a little tense, a little why are you still clearly in love with your coworker? Which, to be fair, is a completely reasonable question, but the show frames it like she's being difficult. Later on in the season, the guilt of what happened starts eating away at Pam, and she decides to confess the truth to Roy, which obviously doesn't go down very well. Roy is so enraged by this information that he storms into the office and physically attacks Jim. And look, I know that violence is never the answer, but I mean, can you blame him? For years, he just knew that something fishy was going on between them, and he gets proven right. And for the first time in the show, we actually see the full weight of it. It acknowledges that this was real damage done to a real person. But then guess what happens next? Roy gets fired, and we pretty much never see him again. Because it's much easier to ship Jim and Pam when the person they hurt isn't in the frame anymore. more. Season 4 is basically the show going, congrats, you waited long enough, here's your reward. Jim and Pam are finally together. They're happy, they're cute, and they never once have a conversation about how their relationship actually started. No accountability, no reflection, nothing. And then a week after they officially started dating, Jim buys an engagement ring. A whole week. And she says yes, which is the biggest giveaway of all, because you don't move that fast unless you've emotionally been there for years. Of course, The Office didn't invent emotionally cheating, but it did package it beautifully. It doesn't frame Jim and Pam as two people crossing lines, it frames them as soulmates stuck in inconvenient timing. And that's exactly how emotional affairs get justified in real life. We just couldn't help it. It was too real. It just happened. We had no control over it. The show builds an entire love story on that logic and makes it look gorgeous, so of course we fell for it. But emotional cheating only looks romantic when the camera is following the people doing it. Film it from Karen and Roy's perspective and it's a completely different show. More like a horror story. Now that we got the big stuff out of the way, I wanted to quick fire through some of these other cheating tropes because they are actually insane. Starting off with the 2024 movie Baby Girl, which is an absolute masterclass at empowerment cheating. We follow our main character Romy, who is a girl boss CEO because of course she is. She has a beautiful home, 2 daughters, and a husband named Jacob, who she's been with for years. Basically, the entire plot of this movie is that she's unfulfilled in certain areas of her marriage. Wink, wink.
So they make it relatable to women by like doing that thing, right? Where the guy is no longer even a bad guy anymore. He's just a regular guy. And the woman's just unfulfilled in her relationship. And they make her a mid-woman, and then they make the guy who just so happens to want to woo her and fall in love with her and do all these outrageous things for her. They make him like an attractive guy because it's like they want women to fall into that fantasy where you're unhappy and there's some attractive guy that's willing to sweep you off of your feet. And the things that these guys are willing to do are so absurd that it doesn't even seem like love. It seems more like worship. It's like these women don't want to be loved. They want to be worshipped in these movies.
Instead of simply communicating that with her husband, she has an affair with her much younger intern. Someone get HR on the phone immediately. The movie frames this as her sexual awakening and her just needing to find herself. And I'm not joking when I say this is literally the entire storyline of the movie. Them exploring this kinky relationship. Can someone please tell me when finding yourself meant ending up in another man's bed? Not just another man, her intern.
That's what it always means. When women say I'm going to go find myself, they're not going on a weight loss journey. They're not going to find Christ and become more charitable and start working with the homeless. What do you think? That every time a woman says I was finding myself, that's exactly what they're talking about. Almost every time.
Oh, and you will not believe how this movie ends. Eventually, her husband Jacob finds out and, of course, is devastated. There's actually one genuinely powerful moment where he says that the life they built together just became the stakes that made their affair more exciting, which is such a painful and accurate observation. From there, they have an open and honest conversation about her desires in the bedroom, and then that's it. They make up, they live happily ever after.
What?
And this is where I lose my mind. Because if the solution this whole time was having a conversation with her husband, then what was the point of the affair? This movie is the definition example of this could have been an email.
And I just gotta say it, bro, this weird new obsession with like older women who are in like their boss woman phase, or they have these careers trying to date younger men. Like this new trope in these movies is just so weird to me. Like this woman is obviously like 50 years old. I don't know if they ever tell her age in the movie because that might take away a little bit of some of the mystery. But this woman is obviously like 50 years old. And the boy the guy they just showed looked like he was like 22 or 23. Like that's objectively weird. And it gets really weird. Like they're starting to cater this new genre of like older women being out and date. I remember, bro, this was so egregious. There's this show called MILF Manor, where I think it's like the moms bring their sons to an island, and it's kind of like one of those like dating Love Island shows. They're all the same show, really, if you get down to the nitty gritty of it. But it's just one of those shows that it's not really about love. It's always about sex, right? But it's one of those types of shows, and so you got the moms and you got the sons. They go to an island, and pretty much all the sons try to hook up with other guys' moms. That's what the show is. That's the show. Older women who are moms getting wooed by younger men in front of their sons. Like, it's so weird, bro.
Because if the solution this whole time was having a conversation with her husband, then what was the point of the affair? This movie is the definition example of this could have been an email. Now moving on, we have another trope called cheating but make it festive. Unfortunately, yes, I am talking about one of the best Christmas movies of all time, Love Actually. Okay. Even though it is my favorite, there is no denying that there are quite a few questionable moments. One of them being the storyline revolving around Juliet, who just married her boyfriend Peter. At their wedding, we meet Peter's best friend Mark, who has the job of filming their wedding video. It's clear from the jump that Juliet and Mark don't really get along that well. Juliet says that when they first met, he was strangely cold towards her, which she just assumed meant that he didn't like her. It's awkward, but whatever, not everyone gets along with their husband's best friend. Anyway, so Juliet goes to Mark's flat to pick up the wedding video that he filmed, but for some reason, he's weirdly hesitant about showing her. When she finally presses play, she gets the shock of her life. The tape isn't of the wedding. It's of her. Close-ups of her face, walking down the aisle, smiling, standing at the altar, frame after frame of just her. Which,
bro, consent and sexual assault gets very gray in these movies. It's just convenient that when the women like the men or find the men attractive in these movies, these ideas of consent and sexual harassment just become very, very gray. Because I would assume that this is weird. Like, if this was in any other context where the woman didn't like the man, again, this would be like a thriller or horror movie.
Is literally insane. Not just because this is his best friend's wife, but it's giving major stalker vibes. Fast forward to Christmas Eve, where we get this very famous scene. Mark standing outside Juliet's house with giant cue cards confessing his love for her.
Of course.
All the while, Peter is literally inside the house. Just outstanding behavior from a best friend. At first you think, okay, creepy, but I guess he needed to get off his chest and be done with it. No harm done. But no it gets worse.
Yeah, no harm done. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, your chances of getting killed are pretty low. But your chances of getting killed when you get in your car and drive across town are a little bit higher. Your chances of getting killed when you get in a car, drive across town to meet a woman who's already married to another man or is about to get married to another man goes up significantly higher. We literally have entire categories called crimes of passion where you kind of give people a little bit of a pass because we understand that people are willing to kill and die over this type of stuff. I don't know why they even play with these types of ideas.
Juliet runs after him in the street and kisses him. I'm sorry, what is going on? And then she goes back inside the house like nothing happened. Can you imagine if Peter looked out his window at that very moment, just got up to grab a drink and bam, saw that all unfold on the pavement? It is just insane, and I have never understood why that storyline is in that movie because it's not romantic at all. But that brings me to possibly the most common cheating trope in all of romance cinema.
Okay, what's that one?
The girlfriend that doesn't count. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When the main love interest has a girlfriend, but the movie clearly doesn't care.
Hey, babe, just some dude, I don't know.
Just some dude.
Now who's being nosy?
People We Meet on Vacation is the perfect example of this. Poppy and Alex are best friends who have taken a trip together every single summer for the past decade. They are clearly in love with each other, but neither of them will admit it. And hovering in the background this entire time is Sarah, Alex's girlfriend. Yes, he literally has a girlfriend. And the crazy part is, she's actually really nice.
Who are we kidding, bro? We know that women like men that already have girlfriends and are married. Certain women, not all women, but there's definitely a category of women who like men that already have a woman because it shows that this man is capable of having a woman, right? If a man is wearing a wedding ring and he goes out, he gets more female attention. That's what this whole trope is for. Those types of women is what these types of movies are for.
Only flaw is that she's
That's
suspicious
their target
of
audience.
Alex and Poppy's friendship throughout the movie, which fair, that is completely understandable. Her boyfriend is literally going on annual holidays with a woman he is clearly in love with. In the later years, Poppy herself ends up getting into a relationship and the four of them end up going on this couple's holiday. As you can probably guess, this gets pretty awkward. During the trip, Poppy randomly has a pregnancy scare and goes to Alex for comfort instead of her boyfriend. And you will never guess how this scene ends, by the way. Actually, you probably will, based on how this video is going. Yeah, they nearly kiss because Because of course they do. So then after this super intimate moment, what do you think Alex does the next morning? Break up with his girlfriend? No, he proposes to her.
Yeah, this is for the women, the same types of women that listen to all that music about I'll take your man and do this and that. And other women say, yeah, girl, you go. That's powerful, until it's your man that's getting taken. Now all of a sudden you angry. But these people are just being propagandized into believing that this is how you should operate in a relationship and this is how you should see the world. And they target women because they know women are more susceptible to propaganda and to following what is something that people consider to be the status quo.
What is going on? Sarah, of course, says yes, completely unaware that her fiancé almost kissed another woman a few hours ago. It is just one of the most all over the place plots I have ever seen. Eventually, Alex breaks up with Sarah, finally admitting that he does have feelings for Poppy, which, I mean, about bloody time. And then guess what? Just like The Notebook, Sarah takes this breakup and admittal of emotional cheating really well. I mean, it's not like she just wasted 10 years of her life. And I cannot stress how common this trope is nowadays, and we're supposed to root for the man? Absolutely not. But now I want to flip this entirely, because we've talked about cheating when the audience is supposed to root for it, but what happens when the male love interest cheats on the female love interest? Spoiler alert, it's completely different. Let's look at the rom-com He's Just Not That Into You, which follows a married couple, Ben and Janine. From the very start, you get the idea that they're a perfectly normal couple.
Never
not
seen
toxic, not miserable, just normal. But then Ben decides to blow it all up by cheating on her with a yoga instructor. But the difference with this movie is that it doesn't try to make the cheating romantic, not even for a single second. There's no framing that suggests he was just following his heart or that it was inevitable.
Yeah, that's because these movies are also for women. Yeah. These types of movies are also for women. No man is going to watch this movie and consider this to be romantic, so they can't treat it like it's romantic. They have to show how bad it actually is. And usually these movies, I've never seen this movie in particular, but I can take a guess that usually these movies end with the guy just having to basically just apologize the whole movie and try to prove his love to get the woman back. And that's how it becomes seen as romantic.
Just a man who got bored and made a really bad decision. And when Janine finds out, it is ugly, and the film makes you sit in every uncomfortable second of it. You watch her fall apart, you feel the embarrassment of it. The movie treats cheating like the painful thing it actually is. And in the end, they don't just have an honest conversation which somehow makes everything magically okay, she divorces him. Now compare that to literally every other story we've talked about. Ali cheats on Lon, but it's framed as if he's happy for her. Alex emotionally cheats his entire relationship for the past decade, and Sarah doesn't really care. The exact same act is either epic romance or unforgivable betrayal, depending on who it benefits. So Hollywood absolutely knows how to portray cheating as the disgusting, gross thing it is, but for some reason, it rarely does. So the question is, why is it so common for movies to romanticize cheating? And the honest answer to this is pretty simple. Cheating makes for a good story. It creates tension without writers having to do the harder work of building a relationship that's
makes for a good story to psychopaths and people who are morally bankrupt. It doesn't really make for a good story. That's just kind of justifying it and not even really in a good way. And in some instances, bro, I am so sick of these movies doing this, bro. It'll be a movie about goddamn Godzilla or dinosaurs. It could be Jurassic Park. It could be anything where a man is on a mission and his mission is always sidetracked by some weird love interest. I don't know if they do that so that the movies can be watched by women too and women will enjoy the movies too, but I'm so sick of that. It'll be a guy that's fully on his purpose and he has this mission and he has this goal, and then he's always put into some dilemma but like some female love interest. And I'm like, the movie could just be about dinosaurs. That's possible. The movie could just be about Godzilla or whatever, King Kong, whatever the thing is, but there's always like some weird love thing that's just injected into the movie for no reason. It's like the main characters that are guys can never be obsessed with their life mission and their goal to accomplish something. At some point, they all have to be sidetracked by some like lady.
Genuinely compelling on its own. Cheating also lets stories sell the fantasy of being chosen. That's the real drug underneath almost all of these plots. The idea that someone would risk everything for you, that relationship, their reputation, their entire life just for you. And when you frame it like that, it makes sense why this trope shows up constantly in movies aimed towards women. Not because cheating itself is the fantasy, but because being wanted that badly is. But there is actually a much deeper issue here, one that most people might not actually realize. It's called cultivation theory, and it suggests that the more you're exposed to the same type of storytelling, the more it shapes what feels normal to you. So when you grow up watching film after film where true love is treated as a free pass to cheat on your perfectly fine partner, you absorb that. And I know that sounds a bit dramatic, okay? No one watches The Notebook once and immediately thinks, okay, cheating is fine now. No, it is way more subtle than that. It's that you watch The Notebook, and then you watch The Office, and then Love Actually, and then People We Meet on Vacation,
and then you listen to Cardi B, and then Megan Thee Stallion, who tell you if you have any minor inconvenience with your relationship, you should go to the club and find another man. And then you listen to Taylor Swift, who's always miserable. Then you listen to Billie Eilish, who's always depressed. And then it's like, there's no regular people anymore that have regular love songs and regular movies about love. It's all just like this depressing nonsense that tells people that they should be able to leave a relationship anytime they feel a small inkling of whatever is not just happiness. Anything other than pure bliss is unacceptable.
Your brain starts building this picture of what love is supposed to look like. If your relationship is peaceful, it must be lacking. If it's intense and chaotic, it must be right. Because these movies don't just romanticize cheating, they tell us that if he doesn't dangle off a Ferris wheel for you, then it's not true love. And that is where it becomes a problem. Because real love is also loyalty. Real love is also honesty. Real love is also a boring Tuesday when nothing happens and you still choose that person.
That's most of it. That's most of it. Trust me. That is a lot of it. And the older you get and the more stability you build in your life from having this type of structure, the more you actually value it. You start to value peace the older you get.
But Hollywood isn't interested in that Tuesday love because it doesn't make for a good movie. At the end of the day, the problem isn't that movies show cheating. The problem is that it asks you to call it romance. Because these stories aren't just showing us what love looks like, they're showing us what love excuses. And I'm sorry, but I'm done letting a slow motion kiss in the rain convince me that someone's partner is just background noise. And if you're gonna build a love story on betrayal, then show us the cost. Actually let us see the consequences.
No, but they don't do that. They stop the movie right at the point where the people kiss, or right at the point where the new two people get married, because they don't tell you the hard part. That's the easy part. Kissing and cheating and divorcing your husband or leaving your engagement, that's the easy part. But what happens after that when the dude who was the exciting guy start hitting you over the head, or he get excited about a new woman and go and cheat on you? They don't tell you that part of the story, because when you see this reflected in reality outside of just romance movies and you go past the part where the person cheats, it oftentimes doesn't stop there. The dude goes back and he keeps cheating with more people, and then the person goes, I don't know why he cheated on me. It's because from the beginning he was already a cheater and you thought that you was the exception. But they don't ever show that part. They never show that part of the story. Of course, it's very convenient. By the way, guys, if you like this video, I'm doing a course on reaction videos. I said that it would be out on Monday. I'm pushing it back to Friday. There's some things I want to put in, some things I want to take out. It's going to have all the major tips and tricks that all the massive reaction channels use. And if you think you have what it takes, and if you're interested in that type of thing, be looking for it on Friday. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's a help brother out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.